rapper Travis Scott is now facing more than a dozen lawsuits following that deadly crowd surge at his Astroworld music festival.
8 concert-goers were killed and hundreds injured in a deadly stampede last Friday. At least 2 criminal investigations are now underway. Neither Travis Scott nor festival organisers have commented on the legal action. We're joined now, and I'm very grateful for him coming on the show, we're by Ryan Kushner, who was caught in the crush. Good morning, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't we start by just tell us what you remember, what was going on from your perspective?
Pretty much everything was it was okay up until Travis's set. Immediately standing in the crowd, I remember just feeling, I was like, I'm really squished right now. Like, it's crammed. But I went in 2019. That was normal. Once he started playing, the crowd was closed. And that happened. And then pretty much out of nowhere, everything just kind of came together. And within a minute or so, I could not breathe whatsoever. A 10 being you can get a deep breath, 1, you can't breathe at all. I was at about a 2. Long story short, basically, I was able to get out. People were disrespecting me, calling me names, whatnot, for trying to leave. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's long story short, yeah.
So you're stuck in the middle of that crowd. What was it that caused the surge in the first place, from your perception? Did you know something had happened, or was it just, it changed?
I could feel it, as I said, it just came out of nowhere. Just extreme pushing from the back, because I was in the middle, just absurd amount of pushing. And when I was getting pushed from the back, the people in front of me, all the people in front of me weren't moving. So I'm getting my back crushed and my chest is being crushed against people in the back that aren't moving. So I'm just slowly getting crushed like that. It really just came out of nowhere. I mean, I was breathing fine at one point, and then suddenly I'm getting little to no air.
And so you're in this crowd trying to escape it. Are other people not trying to do the same? Are they helping you get out? Because obviously you're in distress, you can't breathe.
Yeah, I can't speak for other people, because quite frankly, I didn't care. I wasn't looking for other people. I was just trying to get out. No, people weren't helping me at all. My girlfriend, I'd already been separated from my friends, but my girlfriend was screaming, he has asthma, he can't breathe. And at one point, I got enough breath to tell someone I can't breathe. And this kid's, quote for quote, his words were, "Not my problem." Wow. People wouldn't move. It was very hard to move, so I understand, but no one was even attempting to move at all. So I just had to push and pull my way out, pretty much. Sucked, but I got out.
The lawsuits allege, Ryan, that Travis Scott kept singing for more than 30 minutes, despite what was happening, and particularly the screams from fans for the show to stop. I don't know if you have seen this particular video, but at least 2 of those amongst the crowd did climb up the ladder to try and get the show to come to a halt. Let's just show viewers if they haven't seen it before. And that absolutely makes my heart stop, the fact that those 2 tried to get the show to stop. Were you aware of those attempts, Ryan, to stop what was going on?
So no, not until later that night. As I said, I was able to get out really quickly and receive medical attention, but I knew something was going on pretty much before almost anyone there did, just because there was someone, and I don't want to say his name because he's kind of famous, but he came to the medical tent and he said, "There's dead bodies in the crowd. Y'all need to go and handle this." And that's when it kind of clicked in my head, and I was like, oh, this isn't good. And as I was trying to get out, as I said, I didn't see anyone, but I could hear people just screaming, "Help, help," just everything. I mean, and that was only maybe 10 minutes into the show. So I can't imagine how much it built over another 45 minutes.
And from what was going on, do you think it would have been obvious from the stage that there was a real and substantive problem in the crowd to the performers?
That's tough to say. I mean, as someone who would be performing up on stage, there's 1,000 things going on. At first, I wasn't blaming Travis at all, and I look back and he is partially to blame, but I don't believe it's entirely his fault. But I'm just a little confused as to how he didn't hear people screaming help, considering the Apple Music live broadcast picked up on people screaming help. So I just not too sure how he didn't hear it, but I'm not going to dive into a conspiracy.
No, one presumes it isn't a conspiracy. The question is whether enough safety protocols are in place to enable them to stop it when it happened. And Travis also, of course, is behind one of the companies organising it, so he has a responsibility. How do you feel about him now, having been to you're obviously a fan. You've been to 2 of his concerts.
Yeah, it's tough. That's something I'm still trying to figure out right now. There's certain songs, specifically Stargazing off the Astroworld album, that I can't listen to anymore, just due to the way it kind of makes me feel. I want to say I'm still a fan, but it's just tough given the way his team and him handled this. I believe his team, almost everyone on his team, should be fired just by the way that this was handled, the way the stage and everything was set up. It just wasn't smart at all. So I can't really tell you how I feel about him right now because it's still too fresh.
Ryan, as you say, you've seen him perform twice. I don't know if you've been to other gigs. I mean, when I think about it, I think there is always a crowd, isn't there, at the front of a gig. And actually, quite often a surge and quite often a mosh pit and people get pushed around. But clearly this doesn't happen, thankfully, often. So there are security measures in place at gigs to stop this happening. Can you say what was lacking in this situation that meant that this tragedy happened, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I believe the festival sold out at 50,000 tickets. And I think if it was 50,000, if that's the correct number, I believe they hired enough security to handle 50,000 people. But they should have hired more, knowing Travis Scott's past history of thousands of fans breaking down barriers, because they've done that the last 2 Astroworlds, storming in. That was the issue, that it was completely over capacity and there wasn't enough security guards. They planned for whatever it was, 50,000, and there ended up being thousands more.
Noel, we really appreciate you coming on the show. We're glad you're okay, but obviously it's going to take you some time to recover from this mentally. It must be quite difficult for you to process. Thank you for sharing it with our audience today.
Yeah, Ryan Kushner, thank you very much indeed.
I think it's worth... We've got a clip here from Adele. This is when somebody fainted at an Adele concert, just to show the opposite way somebody on stage could react. It's worth watching this.
I think out of anybody there, the person who has the influence to enable people to get out. We just don't know how much Travis Scott knew about what was happening. But when you see those 2 people get on stage and say, stop the show, that breaks my heart, because those people in the concert were trying to get them to call it off. And if Travis Scott at that point had said, guys, stop, we need to, back up a little bit, enable people to get out, enable paramedics to get through, that would have had a massive effect on what happened.
In fact, that's what the fire services have said there. They said there is only one person who was in a position to be able to make this stop, or to at least to try and mitigate what was going on, and that was Travis Scott. And I wonder, you said it in the interview, Susanna, you talked about this doesn't happen often.
No. Well, I mean, this people actually dying in the crowd.
But it isn't unique. It's rare, but it isn't unique. And you do wonder. I mean, we've had horrible cases in this country of similar at football matches, of crowd crushes. And I wonder whether within the concert scenario, there needs to be more thought to structure an organisation of what you put and proper regulation put in place in order to how to prevent it. I mean, those young people who've lost their lives on the back of this, no concert's worth that.
I know.